Hey y'all, welcome. Today is October 21st, 2023. I'm in Jackson, Tennessee, here at the Casey Jones Village. We're going to go through the Casey Jones Museum, the Casey Jones home, go in the restaurant, eat some breakfast, and go through some gift shops. And just see what else we can come up with and see what they got here. So here we go. They are doing some construction on this side, so it is kind of noisy and loud in there. And this is the restaurant side with an outhouse right outside the restaurant. Not in use. Alright, well, let's head on in to the Old Country Store and Restaurant here at Casey Jones Village. Get us some breakfast. Then after that, we'll take a walk around, go through the museum, and maybe the house, take a look in some gift shops, and see whatever else we can find. The old letterbox right as you go into the restaurant, Old Country Store. Alright, let's head on in. Some old mailboxes. Head on into the gift shop. Boy, it is crowded in here today.
It'll let you know that you can add it to the wait list, maybe about a 10-minute wait. And once you get the second text message, you'll go right over here and pay. Alrighty, thank you. Hello.
Got it set up like an old pharmacy in here. There's your little whiskey still. Popcorn Sutton. Country music legends. Dolly, Patsy, Reba, and Loretta. There's another one. Johnny Cash. Here's you some more. Got Waylon Jennings, Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, and Johnny Cash. And of course, wherever you go in Tennessee, really, there's always Elvis. All right, heading in to our table. big old fireplace.
Yeah, I think the only one out of that whole deal that didn't get it.
And it's all you can eat buffet. Alright, so we got our pancakes, some sausage links, some chicken, some sausage patties, bacon and ham. Looks like some sort of potato casserole, fried apples, grits, potatoes. Look like eggs with peppers and onions and ham. Got some rice. Got some mixed fruit, tomatoes. So this is going to be the Tennessee Delta Music Room. It has a lot of paintings. Got Elvis Presley, King of Rock and Roll. W.S. Fluke Hollins, the father of the drums. Sonny Boy Williamson, king of the harmonica. Carl Mann. And this is a Saturday that we're at, so it is busy. So there are a lot of people. Sleepy John Estes. Got Hank Jr. Carl Perkins. Isaac Hayes. Let's see. Got Tina Turner. Got Denise LaSalle, Queen of the Blues. There's a big old train car. It's part of the Pullman train group. Judge Milton Brown is the name on the side of the car. It looks like this train went to the Gulf, Mobile, Alabama, and Ohio. And here's your gift shops here at Casey Jones Village.
I liked his joke the other day.
All right, let's go in and see what they got.
211 or whatever that was. That was so funny.
All over the world asking, you know, why'd you come to America? They said, racial.
Really? We came all this way and we didn't go. Wow. All over the world.
We get a lot of people in from that weird foreign country, England.
You got a lot more to come in now.
All right, so there's the Old Country Store. I'm standing outside of the Southern Magnolia shop. There's the train car. That is the Casey Jones Museum. And that is Casey Jones's home. The old train station clock. Not working, that is the wrong time. All right, so we're gonna go in the Casey Jones Railroad Museum train store. And then we'll go into Casey Jones's home right next door. Pulling into the station. Here we go. So here's your prices. And that is a picture of Mr. Casey Jones. Here's a quote from President Ronald Reagan about Casey Jones. All right, so we have a theater you go in and watch.
Magazine stories, museums, a postage stamp in his honor, and much more. Casey Jones' wife died in 1958.
Again and visit our one-of-a-kind train store. All aboard! The 1950s, 3 museums have been established in his honor, 2 of which are still in operation. The Casey Jones story has permeated every facet of our culture. Music, art, literature, television, movies, toys, games, history, and even fashion. So who was this man who had such an impact that it has lasted over 100 years? Let's take a look.
Come on, you rounders, if you want to hear a story about a brave engineer. Casey Jones was his name on the I-10 road. He won his fame.
We saw no flagmen or fusees. We heard no torpedoes. Without any warning, we plowed into that caboose.
The promised land, Casey Jones.
John Luther Jones was born March 14, 1863 in southeast Missouri to country school teacher Frank Jones and his wife Ann. He was the first of 5 children. At age 13, his family moved to the small community of Casey, Kentucky, which is how he eventually got his nickname. As a boy, he developed a growing obsession with trains, from hanging around the bustling train depot in Casey. At age 15, he went to work for the Mobile and Ohio Railroad as a telegrapher in nearby Columbus. In 1881, he moved to Jackson, Tennessee, still an employee of the M&O, to take a job as a flagman. There, he stayed at the Charles Brady family boarding house, a favorite spot for Jackson railroaders. When asked where he was from, Jones said Casey, Kentucky. From that day on, he would be known as Casey Jones. Casey would later marry his landlord's daughter, Jamie Brady. They married at St. Mary's Catholic Church in 1886, and they would later have 3 children, Charles, Helen, and John Lloyd, also known as Casey Jr. Casey was later promoted to brakeman on the Columbus, Kentucky to Jackson, Tennessee route, and then to fireman on the Jackson to Mobile, Alabama route. On March 1st, 1888, Casey switched jobs to Illinois Central, firing a freight locomotive between Jackson and Water Valley, Mississippi. He was finally promoted to engineer, his lifelong goal, in 1890, at the age of 26. Jones went on to reach the pinnacle of the railroad profession as a crack locomotive engineer for the IC. Railroading was a natural talent, and Jones was recognized by his peers as one of the best in the business. He was also known for his insistence that he always get there on the advertised. That is, that he would never be found to be falling down or behind schedule when he arrived at his destination. He was so punctual that it was said that people set their watches by his unusual and recognizable whippoorwill whistle. In February 1900, Casey was transferred from Jackson to Memphis for the Memphis to Canton, Mississippi leg of the Cannonball passenger run, which ran from Chicago to New Orleans. This run offered the fastest schedules in the history of railroading. Some veteran engineers doubted the times could be met, some even quit. But Casey saw it as an opportunity and would drive until the night of his fateful last ride on engine number 382. In Memphis on the morning of April the 29th, after a run from Canton to Memphis, Casey was asked to double up and take the southbound run back to Canton that night because the regular engineer had become ill. Number 1 came into Memphis far behind schedule, and Casey had to make up for lost time on the return trip. 6'4" Casey climbed into the cab and that fatal ride began. With Casey was fireman Sim Webb. It was a wet and foggy night, poor visibility but good conditions for speed, as steam engines operated best in such damp weather. When Casey passed through Grenada, he was only 40 minutes behind schedule. As Casey pushed number 382 southward, he continued to pick up speed.
On today's fine road bed, it could have traveled 100 miles an hour, probably more. We may easily have reached that speed.
By the time Casey had to take sighting to let the northbound Cannonball number 2 pass at Goodman, he was only 5 minutes behind schedule. In Canton, Mississippi, his destination was next. But he would have to pass through Vaughn, Mississippi, and at Vaughn, trouble awaited.
This is the situation at this point of Casey's run. He is 14 miles from his destination, Canton, Mississippi. He is heading into the little town of Vaughn, going 75 miles an hour. Casey knows there will be several freights in this town of Vaughn, but he knows that these freights will all be on siding to let him come through on the main line because he has a passenger train in Mayo. What he does not know is that 2 freight trains on one siding, while trying to clear the north switch, were stalled due to a broken air hose on one of the freights. This left 3 freight cars and a caboose out on the main line, with Casey rapidly approaching at about 75 miles an hour. When a red light on the caboose is spotted as Casey's 382 comes around the curve, Casey knows he is about to crash into the back of the stalled freight train. Instinctively, Casey does everything he can to save his passengers and the crew. First, he tells his fireman, Sim Webb, to jump. Sim jumps and is shaken up, but lives 57 years after the crash. With one hand, Casey pulls on the whistle cord to warn all the crew of the impending crash. With his other hand, Casey pulls on the brake to slow his engine as much as possible before plowing into the back of the stalled freight. Casey slowed from 75 to 35 miles an hour before the crash. His engine turned over and Casey was killed. But by slowing his engine so much, all the passenger cars stayed upright on the track, and no passenger was killed or seriously injured. Casey Jones died, saving all the passengers. There are disagreements about warning signals and circumstances surrounding the wreck, but one thing on which we all can agree is that Casey Jones died a hero.
Casey Jones' funeral was held at St. Mary's Church, where he and Janie were married 14 years earlier. He was buried in Mount Calvary Cemetery. 5 passengers received compensation for slight injuries, with $23 as the most amount paid. Damage, including repairs to engine 382, totaled $3,000. Fireman Sim Webb received $5. He retired from railroading years later. During the remainder of his life, he made speeches and appeared on radio shows to keep the Casey Jones story alive. Sim Webb died in 1957 at the age of 83. There were many train wrecks in the early days of railroading, most forgotten. And if it had not been for Wallace Saunders, an engine wiper, Casey's wreck might have also been forgotten. But Saunders worshipped Casey, and he wrote the song, The Ballad of Casey Jones.
cannonball train set four in the water, shovel the coast to get out the window what's dry.
The song and the devotion of Casey's wife led to national fame. Movies, TV shows, magazine stories, museums, a postage stamp in his honor, and much more. Casey Jones' wife died in 1958 at age 92, but the legend of Casey Jones lives on.
We are so glad you chose to visit the Casey Jones Museum today, and we hope you'll enjoy your self-guided tour of the museum. When you exit the theater, you will enter our exhibit hall.
All right, so we're going to go in the museum now.
Music, art, literature, symbology, movie, toy,
There's a quote by his wife about him. There's about his early years. There's his wife and the 3 kids. Casey Jones, they didn't explain this in the video, but he actually rescued and saved a little girl from being ran over by a train. She was standing out in the middle of the railroad. A train was coming and she just kind of went into shock, I guess you could say, like a deer in the headlights. And he was able to get her before the train come through and killed her. There's a picture of Casey Jones. And there's the actual picture of the whole train. And that's it blowed up. This man, Bedford Forrest Norris, was the conductor for Casey Jones. So this is a whippoorwill whistle that he was known for using. Now this isn't the actual whistle that he used, but this is one like it. Here's the Casey Jones stamps. They're hard to see. Here's different letters that have the stamps on them. That tells you about stamp day when they come out. So this is the actual pocket watch that Casey Jones wore. And that tells about the watch. So this is Sam Webb. He was Casey Jones' fireman. He's the one that Casey Jones told to jump out before the crash. Here's the Ballad of Casey Jones. And this is about the man that wrote the song, Wallace Saunders. There's a game. Now these are the only photos of Casey Jones' wreck. Now this is the horse-drawn funeral coach that was owned by the funeral home at the time of Casey Jones's death. Now it does not say that this is the actual one that carried his body to the cemetery. This is the replica 382 of the train that Casey Jones was killed on. Illinois Central Railroad. All right, I'm gonna go up here. Pull the bell on the train. Now this engine was originally number 99, so this is a replica of the 382. It's a smaller version of what 382 was. There's your fire. So we are in Casey Jones's home. Looks like this is the kitchen. Some old shingles. This is the children's bedroom. That's the children. And this is Casey and his wife's bedroom. This is the dining room. I guess this is the family room. And this is the family room. And this is the parlor. There's a view out the front windows. And here is their bathroom. They had indoor plumbing. The sink, toilet, the tub. Tub looked like it's either iron or copper. Not sure. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this video. That is Casey Jones's home right there. From Casey Jones Village. That is going to be it. Until next time, appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, share, like. That person just couldn't wait 5 more seconds. But anyhow, appreciate you watching. Until next time, thank you. Good night. Well, I'm here at Mount Calvary Cemetery where Casey Jones is laid to rest, but unfortunately, the cemetery is closed. I can't get in. So, I'll just put in a screenshot of his headstone. But he's buried somewheres out there.